Hey everybody, welcome back to Fandomly Speaking,
where each week we speak randomly about fandoms. I'm Liza.
And I'm Melissa, and this week we're going to get random about a whole bunch of fandoms as we talk about what happens when the fandom turns on the creator.
And since we will be talking about a whole lot of things today, it's one of those conversations. We don't know what spoilers. There might be a lot of spoilers, maybe, because we'll be talking about a lot of different stuff today.
Yeah. So just, if you feel like we're going to a place that you're like, oh, I haven't seen that yet, just, feel free to skip it. And also warning, we are two Gen X autistic women, and we are unmasked and way overstimulated. So we have no idea what's going to come out of our mouths.
Right.
There might be some hot takes. We're going to try not to piss anybody off. That's the plan for this week. Yay!
Well, if we do, you just clip it out and we'll put it on social media so we can really piss people off.
And we can really piss everybody off. Yeah. So Liza, what did you do this week in geeking?
I am getting to the home stretch in Lost. I'm almost to season 6. We're almost there. So I'm almost finished with Lost. I finally got to start with the season 3 of Squid Game, so we're working through season 3 of Squid Game.
Oh, I hear people have issues with that.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. I don't watch it, but people that I know were like, yeah.
Well, it's Squid Game.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that all of your favorite characters, if you have them, are not going to make it. So it's rough. It's real rough.
Only one. Yeah.
So I've been doing that, and then I asked on TikTok for people to convince me to read Dungeon Crawler Carl, and they were very convincing. So I started reading Dungeon Crawler Carl as well this week.
And how's that going?
I like it. I asked because I really don't like lit RPG at all.
Yeah.
So I was like, everybody says I should read this, but I don't like lit RPG. And they were like, well, you're going to like this one. And I like it. I was cackling within the first 30 minutes.
I have to give it another try because sometimes something it's not the right moment for me.
Yep.
And then when I go back, like ACOTAR, what did I try that like twice before I finally was like, yeah, now I can. So I have to try it because it's different. And like everybody says, do the audio version because I really think that it's made to be audio. I mean, you can absolutely read it.
The one they're doing on Audible is the sound booth version, I think, and so it's completely dramatized. Every voice is different. There's noises, and so it's a lot of fun. But it's just
maybe I should try that.
It's really funny. I don't know. It was just it's got me giggling out loud, which is rare in a book,
Yeah, well, that's really cool. I mean, it's definitely what I remember from listening to it was I was like, wow, this is so different. Mm-hmm. And
have you done lit RPG before?
I don't think so, probably.
And that might be the thing.
I did, but
that might be the thing. I mean, I just really don't like. And the weird thing is, I've read multiple. Why would you do that? I read multiple lit RPGs, and they're just not my thing. And it is hard to get into if it's not your thing. And Carl is a lit RPG, so it just may not be your thing, even so. But I have done so many, and this is different enough that I'm like, yeah, it's funny.
Okay, cool.
If you don't like it, though, it's not your thing.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Yeah, totally.
So this week in geeking for me, so I can't remember if I had finished Buffy in our last episode.
Last week you had.
Yeah.
You had finished finally.
Finished Buffy, and then I also finished the book, Into Every Generation, A Slayer is Born. And this was excellent, and it fits perfectly into our topic for today.
Oh, yeah. Good.
A lot of the book is about how do you reconcile the Joss Whedon of it all.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
A lot of discourse on that.
Yeah. And I'm continuing on, but slowly with my revisiting of Lost, even though I just watched it recently. This
so
time
funny.
I'm dictating notes the whole time I'm watching it, which is just a whole stream of consciousness thing. So I might share those in an edited format at some point. And otherwise, I've just been working really hard. I have this huge event next week called Sweet Sweet. It's a toy event, and we've got over 300 creators coming to New York City, and we work on it for months and months.
And it's amazing. You guys do such a good job with Sweet Sweet.
Thank you. It is so fun. And it can be stressful, and then you stop, and one of us will say to the other person, we play with toys for a living. Let's... But it's also been weird kind of in the environment that we're in, working on this event that is all about fun and play and joy and happiness and candy and drinks and cocktails while the world is fucking burning.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it feels like making toy content on YouTube. Like, am I really supposed to go out here and play with squishies right now?
Yeah.
This is so weird.
But we need to, and we need to keep reminding ourselves that, joy can be an act of resistance. So, and also people need it. Yeah. People need something to be happy about, which, like, our fandoms are getting us through, man.
It's true.
Speaking of fandoms, I have a few comments that I would like to share.
Awesome.
Okay. From, I'm going to totally butcher this, Rehelia3135. Okay. Melissa, how could you forget the best boyfriends, Roke, Chetty, Bree, and Cam? The best boys. Yes, I read the book. I actually really enjoyed it. Thanks to the recommendation. It's the Cheesemen. The hot, naked Cheesemen.
It all came back around from our first episode.
Yep. And I am going to put that book in my pool bag because once I get through Sweet Sweet, I should finally be able to go sit by the pool.
I can't deal with someone's name being Chetty. I couldn't take that seriously.
Oh, come on. They're hot, naked men who turn into cheese. Come on. It's good stuff. Another one, Patooey Cat 1089. And I thought this was interesting because I've never heard of it, and I was so glad that they shared this. I'm not going to provide any evidence because that would be spoilers, but best book boyfriend ever has to be Hua Chang from Heaven's Official Blessing. His devotion lore is so strong that I can't even imagine him going on a date with anyone else. So sadly, no dream date for me there. So I thought that was really cool because I don't know anything about Heaven's Official Blessing. Have you heard of that?
No, I'm looking it up. It's beautiful. Like the cover's beautiful.
I have to check that out.
Exactly. I need something like more on my to be read list. Good Lord.
I always need more. My to be read list never gets shorter because I can take stuff off after I read it.
Yeah, I'll have to put that on because that looks gorgeous.
It does look good. Mm-hmm. And then Coffin Puffs, love your name by the way.
Right.
Coffin Puffs 4539. Buffy and Charmed was the 90s and early 2000s. Those shows were ahead of their time.
Yep.
I agree. And maybe at some point we'll talk about Charmed. Did you watch Charmed?
I watched all of Charmed, but just like Buffy, I haven't watched it. I haven't rewatched it, but I watched Charmed. I don't even know why they did this back then, but even though it was a weekly show, they played it every day. And so I would watch Charmed every single day.
Once in the early 2000s. 100 episodes. Yeah. Then it goes on TBS.
Well, it wasn't on TBS though back then. It was like 2003 maybe. And it was still playing week to week at that point, but it was on some channel every single morning at like 9 a.m.
Here it's on TBS, and it's when my mom was in the nursing home. She started watching Charmed because TBS would show 2 episodes of Supernatural and then either 2 or 3 episodes of Charmed. So my mom started watching Supernatural. She was a Dean girl.
Yes.
And then she really fell in love with Charmed, and it was so sweet because when I went to go pack up her room after she passed away, one of the housekeepers came in to see me because she used to talk to everybody knew my mom. Like, it was so hard. Everybody was crying, hugging me, from the people in the kitchen to the housekeeping, other residents. Aww. Anyway, so the cleaning lady was like, "Oh, your mom loved her Charmed." Like, she loved it, never missed it. We would always talk about it. And I was like, oh, that makes me so happy that she had somebody to talk to about Charmed, because I have a feeling the other residents were not.
Yeah, that's awesome. My mom also really liked Supernatural, so she texted me the other day that she's like, I'm watching this new show with Jensen Ackles, so I'm assuming she's talking about Countdown. Yeah. And she's like, her cat Pickles. So she said Pickles sat and stared at Jensen for a full hour. She was like mesmerized. I'm like, I get it.
Right now, the way I feel about Countdown is that might be the only reason to watch it, but I'm going to give it a chance. Because
I haven't watched it yet either. I'm so deep in Lost and then trying to watch a few other things. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. when am I going to get all this other stuff?
Oh, you'll get there eventually. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you want to tee up what we're talking about today a little bit?
So anytime there is any fandom, there is a potential for it to get a little toxic, maybe a little scary in there. But sometimes the fandoms just turn on their creators. They really just turn and don't like the either the subject or the creator themselves. And so that's what we're talking about today. When
and
fandoms
in
turn
a lot
on the
of
creators.
a lot of cases it feels warranted. As I've kind of looked at things, and then in other cases it's more about, we just really hate where you took our story.
Yeah.
Because I think we all feel, we start to like feel ownership of our fandom stories, and then we're like, no, that's not what you were supposed to do.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And we mad at you. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different things that can cause this kind of fandom turn, whether it's, a creative direction. We were just, before we actually started recording, we were talking about representation. A lot of these older shows that we love, we were talking about Friends as an example, and then Seinfeld, and it's like, those shows were beloved, but when you go back and you look from today, you can see that there's not a lot of representation of a lot of, they're all very like white middle class sort of cis hetero everything.
And then on the other side of that coin, since we're talking about the fandom itself, sometimes the fandom will turn for the opposite reason. When the showrunner tries to bring in representation, then certain groups of people are like, oh, we didn't want that, and they don't like the woke direction that they think that the show took, and they'll turn it because of the opposite reason.
Right, exactly. Remember, two woke idiots.
You two woke idiots.
Two woke idiots. So we're never going to turn because because representation shows up.
That's right.
Sometimes a series finale can just piss people off so much.
Oftentimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had more than one lose me because of a season finale.
Yeah. Lost didn't lose me over that, and I'm still trying to figure out, as we've talked about.
Yeah, we're going to have a big, long conversation about Lost. I'm sure we'll talk about it there. But here's what I'm discovering on the rewatch of Lost is that it is an amazing show. It still holds up today. It's still so good, but it is only meant to be watched one episode right after the other, binged, and just, it was not meant to be watched 1 week at a time with months and months in between. Yeah. And so by the time you get the answer to this question you don't even care or remember that you had and so by the time it hits season 5 or 6 and you'd been in that show for 5 years and you were like, season 5 and 6 is weird, and season 5 and 6 is different. And so by the time they'd already lost people, and it's like, what's going on here? Yeah. And so that last episode, it wasn't what we expected from that first season when you got addicted to it. So it didn't lose me.
The first season is one show, and then the subsequent seasons and we'll do that when we talk about the Lost show. But I think that's part of the creative situation. This book that I'm reading, I honestly, to say that I'm reading it, I just read the foreword. It's called The Ultimate Lost and Philosophy. Think Together, Die Alone. And then I have another book that is specifically just about creating the first season. That's like an official one. That's the one that I showed last week that came with the DVD. So I think, Lost is an amazing achievement on television. It is. No matter how we all feel about how things turned around.
But I just think for taking years to get to a point, it loses people.
It does. It does.
So. Anyway,
Anyway, and then the other reason that fandoms turn on their creators is because of the toxic behavior of a creator, and there's sadly a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of those. If you guys don't shut up and get off Twitter, I swear to God, like stop it,
stop it, please.
Yeah, please. Really.
Just, I think it's an interesting. We'll talk about that more. It's like a new-ish, maybe like in the last decade or so. Maybe, I was going to say 5 years, but then I'm like, wait, COVID was 5 years ago, and this was happening before COVID. You know how like we all lost 5 years of our lives, like since COVID? You stop and try to think about, you're like, oh yeah, that was only a couple years ago, and then you're like, oh, that was 2018. No, that's more than a couple years ago.
Right. It's been half a decade since COVID started.
I can't.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So old. Well, like my husband is going to turn 60 next month. I know. And my brother just did last month. So they're the first generation. Like, Gen X turns 60 this year.
I know. What's happening to us?
So freaked out by that. And
I'm the baby. I'm the baby of Gen X, the last Gen X, and I'm already past past that hill. I'm 45. Like we're past that.
We asked Google for some help, like trying to put together lists because we didn't want to forget something, or maybe maybe it's not a fandom that we're totally into or whatever. And so we were trying to put together discussion questions to keep us on track. And man. I mean, is it fair for, this is such a stupid question for a fandom show, is it fair for the fans to feel ownership?
The thing is, I'm of two minds about this, though.
Me too.
I'm of two minds because I've been a creator. Of course, as a fan, I think we absolutely have ownership, right? Like, as a fan, it's mine. I love this story. This is my story. And we are the ones making you money. We are the ones consuming your media. That's my, as a fan. But as someone who has been a creator on YouTube, so I have fans, I'm like, this is my creation. This is what I have created. I don't care what you guys think about it. This is the direction I want to take it in. So I can see from both sides. And so I don't know how to marry those two ideas. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It is I think it's understandable for us to feel that sense of ownership.
Certainly.
But I think when it comes to things like direction of a story, I mean, that's the artist's decision.
Yeah.
Although it's very clear, and we've talked about this before, with the rise of social media, a lot of shows have taken their cues from the fandom.
Yeah. I don't watch Rick and Morty, but it felt like it was important in this discussion because they had the biggest problem. I checked it out when it was like in season 1 just to see. And I think if I'd been younger, I might have liked it fine. It just wasn't my thing. But by the time they got to season 3 of this show, they had a huge fan base and they hired some female writers. Well, of course, you hire good writers. The fans went crazy. They harassed these women online. They doxed their address and personal information. And the creator of this show, Dan Harmon, he literally is quoted as saying, "I loathe these people," speaking about his fans. So he's talking about the fans of the show he created. So this really, you have to get, there's a big separation between the creator and what they created and the fans and what they're consuming. So the creator's like, I don't even like these people that are my fans.
Okay, that's not cool. I mean, wow. When do critiques from the fans become toxic? There's a lot of fandoms where we go from rational, passionate critiques of the work, story direction, character development, and then like what you just said with Rick and Morty starts to happen. Yeah. Where you start attacking writers and actors personally is for me when it feels like we've crossed a line.
Yeah. I also think that if as a fan, I mean, you're a fan. If you get to a point where everything you say about this is negative, like every time someone mentions it, the first thing is, oh, well, they went in, and you have nothing positive to say anymore, you've turned toxic. Like if you have no positive things anymore to say about your own fandom, then you have gone into toxic territory.
Yeah, that's when they've lost you. They lost you there. Do you think creators can ever like turn those disillusioned fans back around?
I'm sure that's true. Have you ever seen like that happen? I don't know. I was trying to think. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen.
There's a few, like Steven Universe, Adventure Time. They kind of go off. There's like a point in time where some of those animated shows, because they take so long to make, but they also go in a weird direction, and the fandom is like, no, and then it's almost like the writers try to circle back around to win back a little.
Maybe the only way I've ever seen it happen is if they're able to get new fans. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they lose fan. I don't know if they're ever able to gain those fans back. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have seen fandoms lose fans and then gain new ones. Like I think Teen Titans did that. Teen Titans had this huge fandom, and then they made Teen Titans Go, and everybody hated it. But that got a whole new fandom. Yes. It's hard. I mean, it really is. I mean, even just amongst the two of us who are only YouTubers, not these bigger creators, when somebody says something, your immediate reaction is like, well, let me just tell you how I feel about that. And you have to really take a pause and sit back in order to be professional or just to let that go. And I can imagine a lot of these bigger creators and writers and directors who are getting this on a daily basis from everywhere, that's got to be just awful.
It's got to be hard. It's got to be hard. Definitely. You're getting so much real-time feedback now.
Right.
And I think that's so different for people. Fandom backlash, does that really like have anything to do with the quality of the show? Because I feel like sometimes it does. Sometimes there's been a quality drop or some change, and that causes people to kind of turn on the creation and the creator. But very often it's not quality.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, we had a long talk about that with Doctor Who, that I really disagree that there was a quality drop. I really disagree that there was, a bad writing, but that was people's reason for leaving. Mm-hmm. I didn't like this, so I left. And it was just that they didn't like the direction it was going. Not that there was poor quality.
No.
That is such a hot take.
Doctor
Nobody
Who
agrees with me on
that.
One.
Yeah, it is. We made a list. This is not in any way an all-encompassing list. This is a list of things that we were familiar with, that we knew there were, that there had been situations where the fandom went, nope.
Yeah.
Not happy. Not
yeah.
happy. Yeah. And in some cases they abandoned. Sometimes they made it to the end and now just will spend the rest of their lives cursing out the creator for how things ended.
And I do think that with this list that we have, it shows also, I think that the bigger the fandom gets and the more types of people it has in it, both genders, multiple age groups of people, the more toxic the fandom will get. When it is lots of different people and opinions, the fandom is going to eat itself.
Yeah, like the first one on the list that we have is Game of Thrones. And what I forgot to sort of kind of partition here, there's, I think, kind of two fandoms, maybe three fandoms. There's the people who love the books, never watched the show.
Right.
There's the people who watched the show, loved the show, never read the books.
Yeah.
And then there's those of us who did both.
Yeah.
And from there, I was gonna leave that finger up, but that would have been bad. So this one right here, these people right here, I think we're often in with this fandom, we're the ones who are like the most pissed off. Although people who watched the show are also pissed off.
Yeah.
And we're never getting that last book. He's gonna die without writing that book.
For sure.
I mean,
for sure.
I hope that when God, many decades from now, when that happens, and his estate, they find like a binder or like a file on the computer that tells us, just tell us what happens in the last book, even if you didn't write it.
It
just
kills
tell us what
me.
your version was.
It kills me when these authors are getting much older, and you're like, could you please come on with that?
He knows it too.
Yeah.
George R.R. Martin knows it. He trolls us about it,
and
he's like, oh yeah, on it.
I remember watching some panel with him on it and other authors, and the author was saying like, oh yeah, I sit down and write this number of words a day before I let myself up, and he was like, and you can do that? I'm like, for God's sake, just write the words.
It's your job.
Jeez. What's that?
Stephen King writes every single freaking day.
Yeah, I think maybe it was with Stephen King. He was like, I write a certain number of words every day, and then that's and then I get up. And he was that was just an epiphany to him, like, oh, you can do that? Okay.
Yeah, it's like, how'd you write those?
You can also
those
do
books
that.
Were massive, and so I think there's the people that are turned against Benioff. I don't even know how to say the producers and writers, Benioff and Weiss, because they did a thing where, I mean, this show was so big. I remember people talking about it. Everywhere people were talking about it. It was, it was a water cooler show because people still had offices with water coolers that they went to because it was before the pandemic.
Yeah, right.
And we still were in a world where TV shows were on a certain night.
Schedule,
They were premiered. It premiered on a certain night. Now I don't even know what night a show premieres.
Are there still shows that do that anymore? I don't know what that
there are still episodic shows. Like I've been watching The Buccaneers, and I'm like, it's like I have to wait every week, but I don't know what day it comes out. Aren't we in this world where we're like, just drop the whole season?
Exactly.
Just do it.
Let us watch it on our own time. We got stuff to do.
Yeah, or like these things where they do, like they did it with Bridgerton. They like released like one half of the season and then made us wait like 3 months. Don't give it to me till it's done.
Yeah.
Don't waste my time.
That's right.
And I think there is that sense of fan entitlement. Like, we want to tell you how we want you to give us your creation.
Well, I actually think there's a question on here we had. Is there a fandom that has lost you specifically? But I do think that actually will lose a fandom, or they will turn if you take too long between these episodes, right? Mm-hmm. If you are between seasons or what have you. I mean, the fandom will just lose interest, and they will turn on the creator simply for that. I absolutely will not be watching at all Stranger Things. I don't care. I will not watch it. I couldn't care less. I watched the first four.
It. Like, I don't know what to care about.
It was really good. That first season was great. The very first season, everybody was addicted. It was so good. They have waited so long between these seasons. I couldn't possibly care less than I do about that show. They have lost their fandom. There will be people who watch, but not, I mean, so much of it is the way we consume media now. That you have to put it out for people to consume it, or they just don't care.
Yeah, and there's so much that just keeps coming. In the meanwhile, while Stranger Things has taken forever, we've gotten all of these other, similar type shows, or we've, some of those people who were like teenagers are now grown up and having kids of their own. They're like, I have no time for this.
Right. That's exactly
I'm not a child anymore. I'm not a teenager anymore. Supernatural. Have we turned on the creator? I mean,
I didn't, but like when we talked about Supernatural, I watched it all at once. But you kind of watched it and saw it grow over the years. Did you see people turning on it?
I mean, there's definitely a camp that after season 5, when Eric Kripke left and Sarah Gamble came in, those people were just really, really ticked off. They were ticked off that he left this amazing creation. And there are people who have tried to point at Sarah having, a negative impact. But I honestly, are there seasons after season 5 that aren't the best? But any show that's been on for 15 years,
absolutely,
there are seasons that are that are dogs. But even in the doggiest of seasons, which is to me the Leviathan season,
I knew you were going to say that.
Also has some of the best episodes. That's where we get Charlie. That's where we lose Bobby. Is that the season where we get Kevin Tran? I think that's.
I actually don't even remember if that's when he came in or not.
Maybe that's where we get Kevin. But
there's a lot of lore dropped in that season. So
much going on in that season. So even while we're all like, maybe we just didn't like the Leviathan.
The teeth.
But even like the character of Dick Roman, like once you start talking to people, you're like, oh yeah, he was really funny. So did we really hate that season, or do we just not like Leviathan? But Supernatural, I think that fans started feeling so much ownership of those characters and things that they wanted to happen that never happened, such as Destiel.
Yeah, but that's then part of the fandom's problem. That becomes where, is it the creator or is it the fandom? Because that would be the fandom's issue, not the creator's issue. Yeah. Like they didn't do that. The fandom did that.
Well, and that, I think maybe where I can get angry about the Destiel stuff is that second to last episode.
Okay.
Right, that's the Te Amo one.
Was that the second? That wasn't in the last episode?
That's the second to last?
I thought that was the finale. Third? Was it not?
No, the finale, Dean gets killed by the juggling vampires.
Yeah, and that didn't happen in that
but Cass died in the episode before that.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
And I mean, that had such an explosion on Twitter in particular.
It did.
Because, I mean, my son came like running down the stairs to talk to me about it, and he's like, whoa, what just happened on Supernatural? And I was like, well. And he to this day still calls it super hell. He's like, oh yes, in this show we send our gays to super hell. Like, so I can understand from a fan perspective, also as a from a queer fan perspective, how that moment can really polarize and piss people off.
Right.
Because you almost gave us Destiel. Did you just queer bait us worse than you've been queer baiting us for years with the Dean and Castiel storyline, because it almost feels like as the years went by, they started writing it more.
Do you see that? Because I can absolutely see it in that episode that it could be considered queer baiting, but I'm curious if everybody sees it from previous seasons and episodes, because I still feel like that's just the fandom kind of seeing what they want in that relationship. The shipping wars and things like that get crazy. And it's not necessarily because the creators had that in mind, but I don't know.
Here's
I don't have
where I'm going to tell you where, and I don't remember if which way these two things happened, before or after each other. So this is when I started to see them writing Dean and Cass's relationship differently, in a way that had subtext, as we like to say in the musical, right? It's in the subtext. The first one is Castiel has died, and Dean takes care of preparing his body. Now, I know they do this all the time for hunters and for each other, but one, we never see it.
Yeah.
We don't see the scene where someone is getting this person sorted out to be given their Viking on fire funeral. And that scene always stuck out to me. The level of Dean's grieving and the way he was talked to him, it felt like, I mean, traditionally it has been the spouse, or if there's no spouse, family, daughters, women who prepare a body for burial. You know, nowadays in the modern world, we're like, you know, we call the funeral home and they do all that. But traditionally that was a family that did, usually the women. And so that one felt it. And then the other one was when we think Cass is dead, but he comes back and Dean pulls the trench coat out of a box in the trunk of Baby. And I'm like, he kept Cass's trench coat in the Impala? So those are things that I can see where queer fans and, you know, and Destiel shippers would be like, it's right there. Those are things that are out of character. And so there's subtext. So, but you know, what are your thoughts on how Destiel impacted the fandom?
Well, there are people, like my husband watched with me. He liked the show and he watched with me, but he is very much, if it is not explicitly stated on screen, he doesn't see it at all, right? He just, I mean, my daughter and I laugh at him all the time because they watch a lot of anime and there's just constant shipping and constant gay undertones in a lot of anime. He doesn't see it if it's not said. So he didn't see anything Destiel. And when that happened in the last episode, he was like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, oh, for goodness sakes. Right. So I probably the fandom was a bit split, where there were people who didn't even notice that, and then there was hardcore shippers, Destiel shippers, who they saw it in everything. You know, I mean, I think as fans, we tend to see what we want sometimes. Yeah.
Do you think in that episode, do you think there were people out there watching it, like there were a lot of people like your husband was like, wait a minute. Is he saying what I think he's saying? What the hell is going on?
I think people like you and me who get so deeply into fandoms can't imagine that. But yeah, I do think it probably was more than of them than us. We can't imagine that there are people who watch kind of passively like that, because that's not how we watch, you know. So, and that there are people who aren't on message boards and in forums and things talking every day about this. But I do think there's probably more of them than us.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Interesting.
No way for me
so if you,
I
mean, you know, let us know in the comments. Were you like, which one are you on? Like, never saw that, didn't even think about it, was confused, or Destiel confirmed, or stop talking about Destiel. There's those people too.
That's true.
Want to dive in on Doctor Who next?
I think we talked so much about Doctor Who on our Doctor Who episode that we can just touch on it, that they did lose. And my opinion is Doctor Who is so old, they lose the fandoms. The fans turn on it every season. They turn on the creators every season. It doesn't matter which one it is, whether it was Moffat or, you know, Chibnall or Davies writing. People get pissed off and they have something to say about something.
Yeah, they do. And then, you know, I worry a little bit that, like, now again, like, we're in this age where we can get that real-time feedback from a fandom. I worry that Ncuti and the 15th Doctor didn't get at least 3 seasons.
Oh, he was so good.
Because
just so good.
There was a very vocal portion of the fandom that were like, nah, don't like it.
But they were not nearly. I feel like the fandom came back around for his era from Jodie's, because so many people checked out at Jodie. They just didn't give her a chance, or they watched one and said absolutely not, and they just did not like it at all. And then came back for his, especially since they brought David back for that short stint, and so then they kept watching. So maybe that's a time when the creators brought a fandom back after they'd kind of turned. Yeah, maybe. I just don't know. He was just so good, and I thought that they did such a good job with the stories. It made me so surprised. And I'm wondering if it had something to do with maybe Nshuti's schedule. Maybe he couldn't continue. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I don't know. It seemed that he was... I mean, the other thing that could play into this also is that the BBC and Disney situation.
Yeah.
Like, Disney didn't give them a commitment for the next season. So
I don't know.
That could also... Because at first I felt like the BBC said, oh, no matter what happens with Disney, we'll be back. There'll be another season. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, and by the way, it won't be him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? What just happened? What just happened?
But Doctor Who is one of those, it's got such a big fan base of different types of people that somebody's always pissed off about something over there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So The 100 is a show that I loved.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch it?
So that you put this on here, and I was like, I did watch The 100, but maybe I'm one of those people who got pissed because I don't remember anything about this. I watched it when it was on TV, and now I don't remember anything.
I have not seen the last season. It's another show where I have not seen the last season, and I don't feel bad about not seeing the last season. Now, it did lose a ton of people when they killed Lexa, and that's early. That's maybe like the second or third
So maybe
season.
That's what happened to me, because I don't remember watching very much of it.
I mean, she was a very interesting character. She was a great character, and she was a gay character, and the gay part was not like, like it wasn't stunt gay. You know?
Token
it was
gay.
Yeah, that's what the word is. Stunt gay. I've created a new category.
Who's your stunt gay?
Stunt gays.
Who's your stunt gay today?
And then she died, and it was but
tell me
really
again what this show is about, because now I've just forgotten it all.
Okay, so The 100 is set a little bit in the future, and we've nuked the planet to death,
like a little apocalyptic.
Everybody lives in like a space station, and they have to limit, like, everybody can only have one child. And then they imprison kids, like teenagers and stuff. They imprison them for different infractions: stealing food, air, water, whatever they're doing. If you're an extra child, you're imprisoned. And then these people, so the station is dying, and they're like, well, we have to test to see if Earth can sustain life again. So for reasons I do not understand, their way to handle this is they're going to send 100 of these incarcerated teenagers and young adults,
of course,
down to the planet Earth and see if they live.
Who is the main characters, like the main actors?
She's a blonde girl named Clark. I don't remember the actress's name. And there weren't a lot of known actors on the show.
Okay.
And so it's an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
And it starts to go into really weird directions after a while.
And it was a CW show.
But I also really liked the show. I mean, yeah, it's a CW show. Yeah. But I mean, Lexa was a cool character. She was a powerful woman. And then we're like, oh, but no, we're going to kill her. And it just did seem like, well, crap, it felt like they just built Lexa up so much to be such like an important character, and then she died.
And I think a lot of times
felt with the fans who
I think a lot of times creators overestimate the popularity of their creation when they kill off main characters. And they don't realize that that's the reason a lot of people were watching.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's just, the bury your gays trope is so painful, because like so many shows that I watched, it's so obvious that they do it.
And that's why you have to have stunt gays.
Bring in the stunt gays. It's time to kill a character. Bring in a stunt gay. New shirt. Stunt gay.
Well, we'll have to put that out for Pride Month next year.
Yeah. So I think so that kind of lost people, and then there was like a later on where there was cannibalism introduced into the show.
Well, sure, of course.
Yeah. Oh, and I think they lost another whole bunch of people.
Gross. That's disgusting. I definitely didn't watch up to that point.
Oh, I felt like it was. See, here's the thing. I don't usually like. I mean, who likes cannibalism? I'm like, I don't usually like cannibalism. You know, because you know how there's all those people who are into cannibalism. They're like, give me all of the cannibalism romance, please.
Well, with the popularity of that Jeffrey Dahmer documentary movie that came out like last year, you might be onto something.
It makes me sick.
Right?
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Did you want to talk about Joss Whedon? Because we have a whole segment just dedicated to his shows on here.
Yes, we do. We do. So Joss, and I think I'm going to talk about this in terms of the Buffy.
Okay.
Because that's sort of like, that's his earliest, you know, I mean, I read the book. The book is excellent. It gives us a history about how this man, Joss Whedon, ended up writing the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer, getting it produced, it not turning out to be the hit that he wanted it to be, also not the story that he really wanted it to be. And so then he wrote a TV show. And it got picked up and it became the show. I mean, this is one of the defining shows of that generation. Right. I think of multiple generations. And so it's hard. It's hard because...
Now, what are some other Whedon shows? Because I know people talk about a lot of his different shows.
Firefly, which only got one season.
One season. Oof. And do you think a lot of these people have just... This is one of those instances where it's a problem with him specifically and his behavior? Yes. Or with the writing specifically? Like, I mean, is that...
It's his behavior. I mean, there are definitely... Yeah. So in the case of Buffy, there's definitely... things that the fans don't like, but I feel like fans didn't turn on Buffy.
Yeah.
I think that as well, I mean, then there's the situation where then he started directing movies, right? And so he was working on, he was brought in to finish up Justice League.
I didn't know that. Why didn't I know that? I did not know that.
Yeah. And he also did like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
Dollhouse, obviously Angel. Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in Justice League. I'm, you know, and it's interesting because if you guys read this book or if you read this book, his coming out in 2020, okay, I guess there had been maybe rumors or like, you know, chatter and, you know, people a little bit talking about Joss, but not a lot. And then Ray Fisher went public, and his going public inspired Charisma Carpenter, Cordelia, to come out with a very powerful statement of her experience, because she felt like, and this author interviewed her, she felt like because she stayed silent all those years, she realized that other people have been abused by this person because I stayed silent.
Yeah.
And so once she did that, so he did that, then she did that, then all of a sudden everybody's like, okay, well, yeah, all right, I've got my own Joss stories. So really, it's only been in the last 5 years. And the thing that I find fascinating about this whole Joss Whedon situation is he stayed silent for the longest time. All these allegations are coming out, and his people aren't saying anything. He's not doing anything. And then he, at some point, made like a not even a statement, but he was interviewed, and he was kind of like, you know, I almost feel like it was such the typical interview with a man being confronted with his bad behavior, and like knowing that, well, what these people want me to do is they want me to take some kind of ownership of what they see as my bad behavior. And I know I need to do that if I want to keep working. But also, apparently, I cannot control my mouth. Because in the same interview where I sort of own my bad behavior, then I say a bunch of stupid shit.
Of course.
That proves that I have
really
not
mean
changed.
That. Yeah, of course.
And so he hasn't really worked. He just kind of disappeared. So he was like verbally abusive, particularly to women. On the shows that he worked on, although there have been a couple of cases where he got a little handsy with a guy, like he shoved James Marsters up against a wall. I think he thought he was doing something creative with this, what I'm about to say.
Okay.
He turned actors against each other by like telling them that somebody said something about them, and I think he did that because he wanted to get certain performances out of them.
Gross.
And what he really did was he created like this really, really toxic work environment.
Yeah.
But he was also super horrible to the women on the show, super dismissive of Sarah Michelle Gellar consistently. In things he said in the press, things he said to her, the way he behaved. And here's a young woman who's putting in 16, 18-hour days on this show, and he just always sort of took the credit for himself. Like, the show's so wonderful because of me.
Yeah.
And was like, yeah, Sarah's a pretty good, actress with the right direction. And it's like...
It's just so bonkers to think about that he had all these like really strong female leads and female characters, and that was his actual personality.
The really bonkers part is his mom is a feminist professor.
Jeez, of course.
And he believes that he is a feminist, and that he wrote Buffy out of.
I see
and
that.
This is the thing. He wrote it out of really good intentions and trying to tell a story that women have power. And so he's writing and like, running the show in a direction of giving women power. Like,
right.
Of course he's giving it to them. But if you start to look at the show in a lens of what was he really doing, you see that, okay, the Slayers they're women, they're young women, and they are told what to do. Almost every Watcher we see is male except for one. She turns out to be evil.
Yeah, of course.
So the Slayers are super strong, super fast, and all those things, but they need the guidance of an older man.
Sure.
An older white man.
And he also, I would say, then wrote a lot of just female stereotypes or caricatures into his, shows. Yeah. Which at that time, Sarah Michelle Gellar, especially during the first season, I mean, she was very young. She was a kid. She and I are the same age, I'm pretty sure. And so she would have been, 17, 18 when that show started?
Yeah. And I mean, she was a veteran actor, but she had never...
But at least Charisma was an adult, right? I mean, she was an adult playing a kid.
Yeah.
I think she was like in her 20s.
She was in her 20s when it started. Yeah, she was a little bit older. So. And she experienced stuff like when she got pregnant and he started calling her fat, and he got pissed at her because she got pregnant. And it's like, well, I'm sorry that you don't know how to write a story.
It's very feminist of him.
Very feminist. Yeah. Anyway. He's really pissed at her. So there's like so much about Joss Whedon, and it's an interesting situation because we're going to talk about the next person.
Yeah, it really goes into that really well, because we were talking about it before. The bad behavior of the creators is a lot of times, it has nothing to do with their creation, but just their own bad behavior makes the fandom turn. So we did talk a little bit about our feelings about Miss J.K. Rowling when we had Marissa on.
Yes.
And I would also say that, so we have Joss Whedon, we have J.K. Rowling, and then we also have, Good Omens we've talked about a little bit as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just really bad behavior of their creators. And if you have good people who are watching, then they don't like that.
Yeah. And it's hard with the Harry Potter, and as we did talk about with Marissa, and I feel like it's the same. I'm feeling like the same thing with Buffy, especially now that I've really read the allegations more deeply and seen there's stuff like, one of the little things, we'll talk about this when we do our Buffy episode, one of the things that keeps sticking out to me is how all of the men interviewed, and I see a lot of these guys, you know, on TikTok or Reels or whatever, and when they talk about Joss, they always bring up, well, he's a creative genius. He's an artist. The men always try to find a way to make that about him being an artist and not about him having bad behavior.
Sure.
And I don't know why they're still doing it. Like, why is James Marsters still to this day saying, well, I mean, the guy was an artist. I mean, he was a genius. You know, you have to give him that.
Yeah, but that's
like, well, we're not
historically,
saying he isn't.
That's historically the way it's been about all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take any interviews by the actors who played in The Shining, Stanley Kubrick, of course, every dude is going to tell you Kubrick is a genius. The way he abused the people on that set, particularly Shelley Duvall.
He got the performance that
but
he
abused,
did it by terrorizing her.
Yes, terrorized her. It ruined her career after that because she was hardly able to work after that because of how he treated her and how he had the other people treat her as well. Yes, and of course, what they got out of it was amazing, but that doesn't make them a genius.
No,
makes them an asshole.
Terrorizing a woman to get that performance is not how we do it. And so, you know, there's. And that's the interesting thing. Like with J.K. Rowling, to my knowledge, there's nothing that she did to any of the actors or
not to my knowledge either.
No, not to my knowledge.
Not while they were filming. She's had some choice words about the ones who don't support her weirdo behavior since then.
So then we get another situation where, so now, you know, she's this extremely horribly outspoken TERF thinking she's being a feminist, but she's just absolutely, you know, calling for the demise of trans women in particular.
In particular, yeah.
In particular, because feminism.
Yeah, right.
But I'm like, I don't. So, and it's been hard. And I think with both of those, what I think we try to do as fans of something is try to separate the art and our love of that art
about it
from the bad behavior of the person.
Yeah, we had a long discussion about it that since JK is still alive and kicking and spewing her nonsense, it is too difficult to separate the art from the artist, because if you support the art, then you are directly supporting the artist because she's still alive and well, you know.
Yeah.
But since her fandom is so old and so big and so well known, you could potentially gather as much stuff as you wanted and never support her. It's all on eBay. It's all on Etsy. Beautiful wands being made by Etsy that are better than what you can get at, you know, Universal. Like you can consume Harry Potter media without giving her a dime at this point. Right. But I also see that if you do that and a certain group of the population thinks that's no good, I can see that as well. You know, I see that people still love this story. I still love this story. Yeah. But if someone thought that I agreed with Joanne, agreed with JK because of it, I get it. You know, it's a really tough one right now.
It is. And I think, I mean, that's just more public and top of mind than Joss, but I think Joss also leads to like, well, he's not going to be involved in the Buffy revival. So that's good, because I really want to enjoy the Buffy revival.
But that's what I wish that some of these I know she would never let it happen. I wish some of these places would do that with J.K. Rowling as well. I wish they'd just kick her out and say, like, you know what? We have this IP now, and it is ours, and forget her, and we're just going to go in this direction with it. And I think that the fans would support that. A lot of them would, because that is also what they did with what you're talking about with the Buffy revival and with Good Omens. Neil Gaiman has had the worst behavior I have ever heard of. Just horrific. The allegations that came out and have about Neil Gaiman, just disgusting, awful, and horrific. And he's not going to be involved in Good Omens the third season, right? So we can watch it and not support him. Yeah, I think if they would do that. And that's the problem with the Harry Potter TV series is she is involved, right? So I feel like, I can't do that. Well, she was involved in the game and all that, you know. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. So those, I think, are the two really sort of controversial ones on the list. Yeah. So the rest of our list is more of the fandom turning on the creator for story direction or creative direction, but not because the person is a piece of shit, horrible human being. So we're gonna leave those folks in the back, put them in the rear view right now.
Yeah, let's just do fun fan discourse where we rip on some.
Yeah. So you had Supernatural in here twice.
Oh, I did. Sorry. Well, it's me. It's
well,
me.
No, I didn't know if there was a separate
Eric Kripke.
thing.
So, Kripke, he's doing The Boys, and he's got the whole Boys universe going on, and like there's going to be Vought Rising, which Jensen is in. So it's like a Becky in the pasty thing, and then there's Gen V, which is the teen. I would not say teen version. I didn't know about that. Maybe young adult.
I didn't know about that.
We only got through one episode. I didn't know
about that. It's already out and done. I didn't know anything about that.
Huh. I think there's more seasons coming, but there's like a girl who can turn tiny, and then she uses a guy's phallus as a stripper pole.
Alrighty.
So,
does it just get gratuitous at this point? Like,
yeah, and I think that there's some people who might be kind of like, it's a good thing that the last season of The Boys is happening, because I think he's losing people because he's just trying to see how far can I push.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes that's not the right choice, because like the last season I've talked to a bunch of fans that are that I know, and we've all been like, yeah, that was a bit much for me. Yeah. There was a lot of fast forwarding, not looking. Yeah. Didn't. So that's Eric. He's doing that right now. So he's losing some people. Another one that makes me a little sad is the Steven Universe fandom and the creator Rebecca Sugar.
So what happened? You said this, and I didn't even know that there was a fandom turn on this fandom.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's like Adventure Time too. It's like one of those shows that somewhere in the middle lost what it was about. Yeah. And then went in some strange ways. And there's a lot of there's some like so the fans call it queer baiting. I call it the network not letting her write what she really wanted to write, so she did have to write it in subtext.
I see. Okay.
So it does feel like queer baiting. But then she was able to later on in the show. I mean, we have our first animated gay wedding on a kids show. Sure. And it's like, I bought the book, The Answer. There's like a kid's picture book. I have that. Aww. I mean, I was so, oh my God, so moved by that episode.
And do you feel like the fans then turned, though? I mean, I do see a ton of Steven Universe cosplay and stuff still at the cons, and still very much represented.
But I think they turned on Rebecca and the show.
Okay.
So they still, and this is it. It's like, but they're like, okay, this is our fandom. Okay. So we're still going to celebrate it in our way. But they kind of
like Harry Potter. Like, we're going to take control of this fandom.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, like, so like Rose Quartz. Yeah. I was like a big Rose Quartz fan, and then they did stuff that completely almost like rewrites everything you think you know about her, and then like having like the diamonds be the big bads, like these the most, and then at the end we're trying to redeem them. Yeah. And so I think those are the things that kind of put people off. Like,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one, How I Met Your Mother, I've never watched. Tell me about everything.
Oh my God. You want to talk about one that lost me so bad? But this is the thing that we've talked about bad finales. I loved this show. Now, I think this may be another show that may not hold up in 2025, right? Yeah. Kind of like we were talking about Friends. But when it was on, I watched every week. I watched every episode, and I loved it. And I had friends who watched it, and we loved it. And I still sent one of my friends a birthday card like last year with a meme from How I Met Your Mother on it. Like, it was a great show if you were into that. And the whole premise of the show is he is telling his children how he met their mother. It starts off in the first episode, boy and a girl sitting, and dad is telling them how he met their mother. And it goes through, 9 seasons, I think, 9 years of story about him dating and having problems dating. And Ted's problematic in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And by the last season, finally, we get to how he met their mother. And he meets this wonderful woman, and her name's Tracy, and they get married, and she gets cancer and dies. But that's not the problem. That happens. That's life. Yeah. Maybe that's why he's telling his kids, How I Met Your Mom. The thing is, there had all these other characters, Robin and Barney, and all these different characters. They, of course, have their own stereotyping as characters. As we go through the seasons, they grow and they change, and there's amazing character development. And Barney and Robin end up getting married, and they grow, and all these problems that they had, we see them actually grow past them. By this last episode, they undid all of it. They said Barney and Robin had a horrible divorce with the same problems that they had in season 1. Their characters had never grown. And this whole thing was a setup so that he could now date Robin.
What?
And that's exactly what everybody
watched the show.
That's what everybody in fandom said. What do you even one of the kids said, so this whole story was so that you could get us to convince you that it was okay to date Aunt Robin? Like, are you kidding me? And Ted and Robin had dated for years and it didn't work. I mean, if this was all it was going to be, they could have just had that work. It just was bad writing overall.
Okay, so it wasn't just about guess what, she's dead.
No,
okay,
I think that would have been okay with the fans. It would have been sad and it would have tugged their heartstrings. It was that this whole thing was a setup so that he could date Robin, who had already gotten married, and the fans were on board with her being married to Barney, and they just undid all of that. It still pisses me off all this years later. It was such a good show back then, and then it made me mad. So.
Oh, man.
And I think that may have been their plan from the start, because the kids grow up over those 9 years, but the scene of them at the end, they're little, so they had filmed that at the beginning. So it's like, you didn't have to write all this shit in there that you wrote, if that was always your plan.
Ooh, wow. Ooh, that's tough. Yeah. Okay. I get why you guys are pissed off about that one.
The whole fandom turned in that one episode. I don't think anybody liked that.
That's bad. That's bad when the whole thing. I mean, Supernatural's ending was.
A lot of this is controversial, but the whole fandom was mad about that.
It was the COVID of everything. We do know we do know what the last episode was supposed to be.
Right.
We just couldn't have it because of COVID. But I almost wish. And I understand they didn't want to keep the actors waiting that long. Yeah. They had contractual obligations to produce this last episode finally, but I just wish they had waited or found a way to get everybody together.
Yeah.
Put them in a bubble,
Yeah, I mean, even if they had waited, because I remember back at that time, there was a certain number of weeks you had to wait in quarantine. Mm-hmm. I mean, we could have waited, 12 more weeks on this. Just let them be in quarantine.
I mean, somebody went up there to Vancouver and quarantined because they thought they would be in the episode.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who that was, but no, you were not needed for that.
Right.
So sorry. So that's sad. Okay. Star Wars.
I don't think you and I, either one, can talk on Star Wars and not get kicked off the internet, because neither one of us are big enough fans. Yeah. My husband is a massive Star Wars fan. Now, I have seen all the originals and all the prequels and all the sequels and a lot of the stuff that's on Disney Plus now. So I've seen it, but I'm not in that fandom. Yeah. He is, but it is one of his more toxic fandoms. He'll just sit at the breakfast table like, you won't believe this shit they're saying now. Because these fans just turn on each other and on the writers and on Disney and on George Lucas. They're so angry all the time about everything.
Is it like the modern stuff? Or are they still mad about...
I think it all started...
Or are there a whole bunch of different mad people?
All of that. I think it probably all started... The first time that fandom started to turn was at the first time that Jar Jar Binks was shown on screen, and the fandom was like, what the hell is going on?
It's officially where they lost me.
It went downhill, maybe, right?
Right? I made it through that last movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I guess.
I do think that most of the stories and movies are probably good in their own right, and that's where fans stay fans. But the ones who are just really into the lore and the history, and they don't like so much of where it's... Just like Doctor Who. Doctor Who. They don't like where it's going or what they're saying now or how they're retconning stuff and all. They just don't like it. Nobody ever likes when things change.
Yes, we don't like change. And you notice I totally didn't put Star Trek on here, and I'm not sure...
I've never heard that fandom has turned on.
I don't think we're that toxic.
Yeah.
We debate, but I feel like Star Trek might be one of the few not toxic-ish. Or maybe we're just all old and dying off and the new people are very nice. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So, a show that I didn't watch, but I watched it happen to my friend was Heroes.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one either.
my friends Mike and Krista were like super into this show. And like we used to do, like when my son was very little, we used to do like once a month we would do game night with them. And they would come over, and they're Aunt Mike and Uncle Krista. That's not it at all. They're Uncle Mike and Aunt Krista. I have trouble. I backwards aunt uncle people all the time. And so they were loving the show, and they're like, Melissa, why are you not watching this? And I was like, that's a newborn baby. I am not watching anything. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I'd go upstairs to put the baby to bed and fall asleep while they were still in my house. Like that's where I was at. And then whatever happened, like that first season was great, and then poof. And every fan of that show was pissed, and like they even joke about it on Big Bang Theory. I've heard them make heroes references.
Yeah, of course. A lot of fandom references on there.
Universally geek despised everything after the first episode. I mean, after the first season show.
That's interesting.
I find that fascinating.
So it's just the writing then.
Yeah,
writing is
yeah. And apparently the writer or showrunner did admit, like, I didn't know where to go with that. I effed up. Whereas the folks on Lost will never admit to messing up.
It's a pretty good segue to Lost. That's what we had next. That's a really good segue.
Oh gosh, I didn't even realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is. And I just still maintain that show was not meant to be watched over years and years. And they didn't know what they were going to do after that first season. And so they were trying to write in things
that never happened. So I think I told you this, that so there's this documentary on Amazon Prime called Getting Lost, right? Yes. And I did not know until I watched that documentary that when they first, although I will say that wherever that other book is with the DVD, it kind of, it doesn't tell exactly the same story, but it's an official publication from ABC, whereas the documentary is not. Okay. So that might be why we're getting a little more of a story. But the story was, they wrote that first episode and just didn't have a plan. Right. Because they didn't think they were going to get picked up. And not only did they get picked up, they get picked up for 23 to 25 episodes a season.
I know.
And they have no plan. And now they have to do 22 more episodes.
And the way you have to watch it, I mean, there will be crazy things. Like in the very, very first episode of that show, there's a polar bear on the island, which that just blows your mind the first time you see it. They're like, oh my God, this is going to be crazy. That does get answered, but it's in like the end of season 3, and by that time you've forgotten you even had a question about that polar bear. And so the people who had
somebody had a
don't
post-it
remember
note somewhere. Ooh, don't forget the polar bear. And I think the discussion wasn't. It was like, we need a weird animal to be on the island, and somebody was like, polar bear, and they're like, yeah. So there was no point.
Or I remember being just absolutely gobsmacked when that thing comes down on John's leg, and that glow in the dark map was there, which doesn't get answered. It does, but if you're watching it week by week, you don't know what that is for just a season or two later. Right. And so by that time, you don't care.
Yeah.
You just don't care.
You just don't care. And then I think that the part that really, I think where they lose me, but they don't lose me, because obviously I've rewatched it 87 million times. Yeah. But when we get to the sideways,
5 and 6, season 5 and 6, that's where I am right now.
Seasons 5 and 6, it's like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
And I have we never ever, in my knowledge, no one has ever explained the Flash sideways.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the timey-wimey bullshit that you're supposed to just accept. And by the time you get there, most people have been watching this show for 5 straight years, and they're not able to go back. And even back then, there was only this online website, and they had some comments on the website. So maybe people were trying to figure out some stuff. But most people, like my mom, wasn't on that website, and she didn't know what was going on. And so by the time she got to that last episode, she's still convinced that they were all dead from the beginning, and you can't convince her otherwise, and she pisses her off. She doesn't like that, you know? Yeah. So that's what happened to, I think, the majority of people.
What is going on with the people in the temple? They've been there the whole freaking time?
Yeah.
That's what like I'm just into season 2 now. And I'm like thinking to myself, wait, those people are in the temple, because they're the people that were kidnapping the children.
And so much of it doesn't work anyway with the Flash forwards, backwards, and sideways when the island is moved, because that means that a lot of those people should have known other people, and because they were interacting, it just wasn't. I'm sorry. We'll talk about it on the Lost episode, you guys. Right. I swear.
Yeah. But I feel like Lost, like it did lose people
so much. And even though I loved it and had good memories of it enough to say, yeah, I want to do an episode on this, it also lost me as well, because by the time I got there, I was like, well, it seemed anticlimactic. And if you watch it like I'm doing right now, I don't think it will be anticlimactic to get there. But after 6 years, and that finally was coming, I don't know how I would have wanted it to end, but that wasn't it.
That was one of those episodes where I don't think I spoke or moved. I watched it live with the rest of the world.
Correct. Yeah, all of us.
And you're just sitting there in front of the TV like, what?
And then immediately everybody was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, the next day at work was like,
yes.
What the? Yes! That was all anybody could talk about.
Exactly.
So that's an interesting one. That's a really interesting one. Another one that I find really fascinating, because it even lost its main actor, is The Witcher.
So
you gotta fuck up really badly if Henry Cavill, your Witcher, is like, nah, man, I can't do this anymore.
Well,
you gotta really screw up the story.
The saddest things in the whole world are people making edits of his Witcher and then showing poor Liam.
Oh,
it's so sad.
I don't even understand the conversation that went Henry Cavill to Liam Hemsworth. I could almost make an argument Henry Cavill to Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
They're like, similar
You got
size.
to give props to Liam's manager. Whoever you are, good job.
Whoever you are.
Wow.
I don't feel like he has the chops for this, to do this role.
Nobody's going to watch that.
Nobody's going to watch it.
I'm not watching it.
And The Witcher is a show that, and I think I said this like in our very first episode, that you have to get at least 5 or 6 episodes in before you can decide if you like it and if you know what's going on. And that's what the people who kept telling me to watch it, they're like, no, Melissa, you're going to love this. And I'm like, look, I've tried. And I could be like, give it 6 episodes. I'm like, there's only like 8 episodes in the first season. What the fuck? Right? But I did it when I was sick. And I was like, well, I can't go anywhere, so let me watch this. And then I was like, okay, now I'm hooked.
It's really good.
It's the 6th episode where you finally start to know. So it's a hard show.
And then I went and tried to read the books, and the book, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I don't know that I've ever tried to read the books, but
I put them down. It is very rare for me to not finish a book. It has to be and I just couldn't do it. I'm like, no,
well,
I hate this.
The dedicated lovers of those books have given up on The Witcher. Like I said,
everybody's given up on The Witcher.
Kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Marvel, the whole universe, multiverse, is so huge.
Huge. It's just the same thing as Star Wars, right? The Marvel thing is the same as the Star Wars thing. It's just so big, and there's so many different fans. There's fans from 4 years old to 84 years old. Same with Star Wars. And so, of course, you're going to have so many opinions.
Different writers, different directors, different
studios, all sorts of different things.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the problem with Marvel is you actually have it in here. Marvel fatigue. I think, and that's actually kind of what is happening with Star Wars too. Is it's like, no, can we just take a break and not do anything for like 5 years? Let me miss you. Give me a chance to miss you.
Yeah,
please.
My husband and I had a whole entire almost hour-long discussion when we were driving to Atlanta last week about this very thing, about why do they keep coming out with so much. People aren't able to consume it all and appreciate it all when you come out with something new every other week, and it's gonna suck.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, like we watched last weekend, we watched Captain America, the new Captain America, and I loved the show. With Sam and Bucky and like that. I thought that was such a smart, good show. About, because it's one of the few times we see
Disney
somebody
Plus show?
address the Disney Plus TV show, because they addressed like the aftermath, like we had the snap.
Right.
And then 5 years later, everybody comes back.
Right.
And it actually dug into what does that mean for society?
Sure.
And I thought that was fascinating. But I can understand why a lot of people were like, I'm sorry, this is supposed to be a story about the new Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Why are we hearing about these people in neighborhoods who like want their house back? And I'm like,
it's
good
the
writing.
Real world. Yeah, right. Well, I've heard from everybody who saw it that the people who went to the theater and watched Thunderbirds all said that it was a fantastic movie, but nobody went to see it because of Marvel fatigue. Nobody cares at this point.
Yeah. I do want to see it when it's available, but I don't go to the movie theaters anymore. I'm so sad.
I just heard so many people say it was so good, but it just lost so much money for that reason. That the fandom is just like, this is too much, just all at once.
Yeah.
Also,
it's also confusing though, because there's stuff that goes directly to Disney Plus, and there's stuff that goes to the movie theaters.
Exactly.
And how are we making these choices? And then one of the movies was originally meant to go to Disney Plus, but ended up going to the theater. It's just, I don't even know where to find it. Like, oh wait, that came out in the movies? I mean, my husband was not even aware that the Captain America movie had already come out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, we can watch it on Disney. He's like, it's out already? Like, it went in the theaters? And I was like, yes. And no one went.
Right. Too much stuff all the time. I mean, there comes a point where you're just greedy, just making as much money as possible, and it's to the detriment of the entire franchise.
Yeah. So that's Marvel. Now, I was surprised. You've got Stephen King, but only on the Dark Tower ending.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people who turn on Stephen King for a lot of different reasons. This should have maybe gone up underneath Lost for the exact same reason. Did you read the Dark Tower series?
I don't think I ever finished it, and it was in like a long, long time ago. Was I in high school or college when the Dark Tower came? It's old.
No,
right?
he wrote that over decades. He started in the 70s and then wrote it all the way up through the 2000s.
Okay, no, I'm not up to date on that.
Oh my God, I love that series. It was such a good series, and I am one of those fans. I did not turn on them. I thought it was so good, and I thought it was so well written, and I thought that the ending ended in the only way it could have. I am one of those people. I'm like, this ended exactly how it should have ended, but my mother... I had her read this series because she and I used to always exchange books. Yeah. And I had read this over years because it took him years to write it, and I had to wait on a bunch of books. Well, I gave them to her all at once. And so she just read through the whole damn thing, and it's like this tall. Oh. She got to that last book, and she said, don't ever give me another Stephen King book. As long as I live, I will never read another Stephen King book. And she has not. She has never.
Really?
She pissed her off so badly. The way that, and I think that it couldn't have ended another way. So, but there were so many people like my mother who had spent so long on this ride that just like Lost, she got to the end and was like, are you kidding me? That's what this whole thing was? There's no way.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I get that. Wow. I want to hear from some other Dark Tower people. Are you Camp Liza or Camp Liza's mom?
Well,
on this one. Yeah.
She hated the Lost ending as well, so she just doesn't like those things that aren't neatly tied up. You know, if something's not neat, she doesn't like that. So there's a lot of people like that.
I get it. Which then it leads us to an interesting, so the Anne Rice of everything. So like, I'm a huge Anne Rice fan.
Yeah, I've read a lot of Anne Rice too.
But I think I can tell you where she lost a big bulk of the vampire fandom is she wrote a book called Memnoch the Devil.
Okay.
Where and it's still not clear to any of us what exactly is going on in this book. But Anne, again, so you're talking about how Stephen King wrote something over decades. Anne Rice has been writing these. Well, she's passed away now.
Yeah.
But so I think she's done writing them. But she wrote those novels over decades, and there's a period of time in Anne's life where she became devoutly Catholic again, and so she stopped writing the Vampire Chronicles, and then she wrote 2 books about Jesus. And then she un-Catholicked again, and then she started. We got some other books, but so Memnoch the Devil, I guess, is Anne through the vehicle of Lestat, who she says is. I mean, he's her boy. She has always said that about him. Exploring her faith and Catholicism through Lestat going to heaven.
I don't know anything about this book. And
right?
I've read a lot of Anne Rice.
That's the thing. It's like you're so used to these books having this certain vibe, no matter what time period they're taking place in. There's a vibe.
Yeah.
And then that book was just, now here's the thing. I love the book. I do. Really, really love it. I appreciate its art. I appreciate what it's doing, but I don't understand what happened or why that happened to Lestat. And Lestat, even till the last book, is like, yeah, I don't know if Memnoch was real or not. I really have no idea what happened to me. So it's all crazy. Very weird. And then, so if she didn't lose you at Memnoch the devil, she probably lost you when, although it may have been the last book, when all of the sudden there's people from Atlantis, which is actually another planet. And now you're like, does she have brain cancer? Is she going nuts? What? Because like we knew she was sick, but I'm like, what is going on in this book?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Why are the people from another planet from Atlantis?
Yeah.
And why can they clone themselves by just chopping off a piece of them?
Well, she was one of those that it takes us all the way back to the beginning of our conversation, where is it the creator or the fans work? Like, who actually is the one who owns this now? Does the fans own this work, or did the creator own this work? Because she did not like the fan fiction at all, and she aggressively pursued legal action against fan fiction of her work. Yeah. And you have to really stop and go, you know, do the fans own this, or does Anne own this? She thought she did.
Yeah, I think she's probably one of those people who just didn't get fan fiction,
right?
And felt very, very much like somebody was going through her underwear drawer and wearing her bras.
Yeah,
and like she just couldn't. No one else can touch these characters but me, and that will, especially in the modern world, that's not a position that's gonna work for your fans.
Yeah. No. She lost a lot of people at that. Really angry.
She did. I think there's a lot of people that don't even know how many of the Vampire Chronicles books there actually are. Like, they think it ended somewhere. I mean, for some people, it ends after Queen of the Damned. They're like, that's it. There's 3 books. I don't ever want to know about anybody else. Like, there are those people. And I get it. They were never quite the same after that book, honestly. But then again, Anne was never quite the same.
Anne's got some really interesting sexual opinions.
She really does. I mean, I've read her, you know, was she Anne Roliquer or whatever? Her erotica is
the Sleeping Beauty trilogy. It's a lot. So, I mean, we have talked so much about so many of these different fandoms, but inevitably there were some we left out. Do you guys know of like fandoms that lost their, or creators that lost their fandom? And was there one that made you fall out of love? Like you just couldn't do it after a certain episode or something happened?
Yeah. And did you ever come back around?
Yeah.
On, that's a big one. Anything. Curious. We really would love to hear your thoughts, and we know this is a hard topic. So, you know, obviously we want to hear your thoughts and your opinions, and we want you to debate with each other respectfully. But we know there's a lot, and it can get emotional.
It really does. Yeah, there's really a lot of big thoughts around. That's the reason why fandoms turn on the creators in the first place, because it's so much emotion surrounding all this stuff.
It really is.
We feel like it's ours.
Yeah.
And we were betrayed.
We do. Whether we should or shouldn't. I don't know that this is a should or shouldn't. It is and is. It just is. Mm-hmm. It's what it is. This is the way it is. That's why fandom exists.
Yeah.
You know? Because we get so invested into things.
So I hope that you guys had fun with us today, because that was a really long conversation that we had, but I think it was pretty good.
Yeah. I think we covered a lot.
I think we covered a lot, but make sure, if you're not already, please follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and check us out on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and our Patreon.
We've been playing some fun games. Yes. And I've put up some bloopers because you would not believe how hard it is for me to get the introduction out of my mouth. There's got to be at least 5 bloopers now of me completely botching the opening sentence of the show.
I love it.
Cracks me up every time. So thank you all so much for watching. Yes. And until we see you next time,
stay unmasked and overstimulated.
Yes.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you for watching. Bye.